Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and get right back into it. So last time we left off, we were working on getting towards our legendary electromagnetic plants. And it was not trivial, because basically the problem we'd encountered is we need a lot of holmium plates for this. And our supply of holmium is quite limited. So, we're going to need to figure out how to address that. Now, one thing I saw was, like, if we just do the EM plants, or the, what was that other recipe? There were two reasonable recipes for this. It was EM plants and supercapacitors. Now, supercapacitors lets you use productivity modules. EM plants, if you get the quality off of the final craft, you don't have to uncraft it. So I think, let's see, we're going to need to do a lot of extra work to get all this. But I think this will be better. So, we're going to have to get together our holmium plates, which we can just grab from this setup and just deactivate it, basically. Batteries come from scrap. Superconductors are going to have to be crafted, unfortunately, in large quantities. As are electrolytes, which come from holmium solutions, stone, and heavy oil. Okay, so the heavy oil is obviously free. Don't need to worry about that. That's just from the ocean. Stone, don't need too much of it. And we have stone available here as well. So that should be fine. And then a holmium solution is just a thing that we're producing anyways. So, let's start working out what all do we need. So, we need to import batteries, I guess red circuits to be recycled down. So if we recycle down red circuits, we get plastic, green circuits, and copper cables. So we bring in red circuits, we recycle them down, we get a couple of the things that we need actually. So then we have to do superconductors and electrolytes. So the electrolytes, we just have to bring in stone. And then the superconductors, we need to bring in copper and plastic, which we actually get from our red circuit cycling. So that works out quite nicely. Okay, so we have this input here, which is holmium plates, ice, and stone. Now, what we need to do then is we just cut this out from this cycling setup and just bring it over to another place where we bring in, I've already forgotten, is it just batteries and green circuits that we need? Yes, I think if we bring in batteries and green circuits and the stuff that we already have, batteries and red circuits, then that should be everything we need for this. So, let's see if we can get those in. Now, if we just copy-paste this entire setup, then we can build another train stop there, and another train stop there. And then we have to not click away. So that's still set as stone destination. So you need to be set as red circuit destination. Red circuit destination. There we go. And then this one is batteries. So we get those in, and that should be everything. Now, is this area all... It's like mostly within drone port range, but we need to get another drone port just a little bit down this way in order to get the little corner of the rails. So we get that in, and this stuff should all get built up, and hopefully we don't need that much foundation for this. It doesn't look like the foundation demand is too excessive. So that is probably fine. I'm not seeing any warnings, so we seem to have all the resources to build it. And it's all getting built up. And some weird stuff has happened with these tracks. Specifically these ones here. They sort of wound up with two batches. I think if we just get rid of that one, then it should be fine. And now I think they all connect up properly. Oh, that one definitely doesn't connect up properly. Okay, so you need to, like, go back a bit and then just connect up in an entirely different way. So you need to go back even further so that you can start turning earlier. And that all has to get built. And somehow this whole area has gotten disconnected from power. Oh, we need power poles like there, and that's not the right way of doing it, but it's fine. So now, hopefully we can get you connected up just like all the way back to here. Can we, like, go one more tile further back? I think we can. Okay, so now if we start turning immediately, you go into there, and then it's fine, and I need to stop hitting buttons too many times. And now you're gonna need one of those, which I can't figure out if that's gonna be lining up properly or not. Okay, so the drone ports are getting set up. We apparently have missed a spot in here somehow, which is quite annoying. So we just have to get that in. And now all of this has been successfully assigned. So now we can put in that rail signal there. And hopefully that'll be everything we need for this. So we just need to make sure that red circuits and batteries are both connected up as things that we can safely output. Yeah, so red circuit, this is their output train station, and notice how it doesn't connect in to anything. So we're going to need to fix that. So this needs to... How did I do this for you? You sort of connected up to, like, just random tracks elsewhere. Okay, so they have to go in here, which means I guess they would be brought off from one of these guys before making it into their loop. So I guess something like this. Kind of gross, but whatever. So that attaches in like that. And you are gonna need some signals to work with all of this stuff. So you can get a chain signal back there and a block signal right there. And then this is also going to need a similar setup. So that all goes in and should be all signaled up. So now trains can get to here, and now we want the train to be able to leave here, which means attaching up to, I guess, this thing over here. So if we just pop you in like that, then this train can go out and up that way and not cause any problems. So now we just put in a signal over there, and I think a chain signal here, and all should be fixed. Okay, no, it's not quite right yet, because this is going to need... No, oh wait, no, it is. It got built. It just took a little while for the signal to show up. Okay, but actually we do need something so that this track in here is different from this track here. So actually what we need to do is that can't be where that connects up. Don't know how I didn't notice that before, but that's literally just in the thing. So you need to go forwards a bit, and then I guess attach up to there where you won't be in the stop. Okay, so now you can get a train with a couple of wagons, and you can then deliver all your stuff all the way over. And this should be fine, hopefully. Though I don't know what the quantities are going to wind up looking like. It should be fine. So we don't have a group for this yet, so we need to go... What is this called? Oh, this needs to be labeled. So you are labeled red circuit source. Like that. So now this train goes from red circuit source, red circuit destination. It goes to the source until it's full. It goes to the destination until it's empty. And that is that. So you get set up, and let's give you stack inserters so that this can load up relatively quickly. So we don't have to sit here waiting for a year and a half. There we go. And there's plenty of red circuits in the boxes and a reasonably high supply of them as well. So that is that. And then we need the batteries, which I'm pretty sure we already have a setup for them, at least partially. So let's get the train built, and then it can go out. So that is going to get built up, and then we just have to give it the battery section, and then we should be good to go. So the red circuits are here. Let's just make sure those don't like accidentally connect up to anything, right? Right, they should be fine. Alright, so red circuits are here. Trains should be on their way any second now. Yeah, here we go. And it looks like we just need a little bit more. There we go. Last train is in. You get assigned to the battery group. And set to automatic. Okay, you can't find your way to the battery source. That's concerning. Also, I realized I need to give this... I need to label this with advanced circuits, red circuit. So there. That's now a group, so when we get more of them, we won't have to worry about it. So now, why can you not make your way to your destination? So where's the battery cycling, and is it set up? So here's the battery cycling, and oh, I see. This got disconnected somehow. Okay. So where were you supposed to attach to? You're the input to this whole system. So probably... Oh, I see. It's actually this semi-disconnected part, which we need to just reattach. And we just do that. And it should be all that's needed. It's a bit funky shaped, but it's fine. Gotta just have the supports dodge the recyclers and stuff underneath. So then this should eventually get all set up. And I don't know what that random belt is, but I don't like it, so let's get rid of it. Alright, so now that's gotten built, and the train is already here. So now let's get all of these guys boosted up for faster loading. The unloading side of things I'm not super worried about. But it should be fine like this. So now we get batteries down here. And those should just show up any second. And now we need to actually set up this whole process. So, there are a couple steps that we need to carry out, and step one is to just figure out how fast. I guess we can just do like one full belt of every input, and then however fast that ends up being. I don't know. Let's check. Like, is there something that we need an enormous amount of? We need a lot of green circuits, a ton of electrolytes, but those are relatively easy to get, so it should be fine. Alright, so let's just go over to this side of things. There's sort of this weird little narrow section, and then it widens out a bit past that. So if we just go over here, then we can get vision on this whole giant convoluted place, and then hopefully figure out what to do from there. Let's actually get Spidertron over here, because we're going to be doing a fair amount of building. Makes sense to have it be fast as possible. So that all gets built up, and eventually that Roboport will show up as well. So there we go. That will happen. So let's just start sort of going down the line. The first one is batteries. That's just free. We have those from recycling. Electronic circuits. We need to deal with those. So we get a row of recyclers. And these recyclers are going to take in red circuits. And apparently they're going to get lightning collectors. So let's just get this whole general area more or less covered. Just get that whole vicinity cleared, and then we don't have to worry about it then. Until we make this factory very big, which hopefully we don't need to. Alright, so this is going to be cycling down red circuits. So we get plastic bars, copper cables, and green circuits. Now, plastic bars and green circuits we use directly. Copper cables we use indirectly, right? So if we go through all of this, superconductors require copper plates, as well as some other things. So we are going to just be sorting these guys out, and all three of the outputs will get utilized to various degrees, and we'll just have to figure out like what the main limiting factor is through testing. So we have the belt, and actually I think we don't want this to be a belt. I think we want this to be the whole stacks-based setup, which, do we have those over here? No. Somewhere, maybe the concrete or something? Up here, the blue circuits definitely have them. Are these boxes which sort out the items into full stacks of them, instead of just however many it brings out at a time? So we just get this down here, and you get those in, and these are not going to be quality moduled. They're not going to be quality moduled because I do not want to deal with all that nonsense until we absolutely have to. So all these quality modules go out. And then this all gets built. And so now we're going to have these outputting full stacks of the various items. And actually what will be very useful to me is if we get power poles there and a belt along there, and then power poles along that way. Now we connect those in so that this is all powered. And we can simply bring our red circuit belt across. So this can actually go into this belt, which is otherwise not being used. That's our new red circuit input. So just bring this up and over, and it'll need to be in approximately this area at some point, so most of this belting won't be wasted. So this belt goes all the way up there, and really we just want to see what the speeds are going to be looking like. And I suppose we can speed module these as well, because we're not quality modulating them. Okay, so we just need to get all this stuff built, including that one, which is important. So the belts go in, and then we'll be able to figure out how fast this recycling process is, so we'll need to know how much we can use for it. And I think we definitely want these to be stack inserters. We definitely want all these guys to be stack inserters so that we can output them fast enough to keep up and have high throughput on the belts. Would be quite nice. Alright, so that all goes, and the belts are getting built. And of course that last one which I placed is going to take a while to go in. There's some weird stuff going on with the tracks down this side, so let's just clear those out a little bit. Alright, red circuits are now connected up. So those will run up to here, and we'll, once they hit the machines, we'll get to see how fast these are. Alright, so these are like 3 items per second each. And they can't be productivity moduled, but they can be speed moduled. So we can just get like the world's fastest recyclers in here. And okay, let's actually disconnect them temporarily. Now that we have the numbers in, I want to see what the numbers look like with the speed modules. So hopefully that will show up any second now. Okay. Are you bringing those in, or are you doing something else? Alright, yeah, so speed modules are in. And you are 20 per second per machine, but you output 40 per second, which is quite a lot. So if you're outputting 40 items per second, that means that you basically need 6 of these. Does a full belt at this speed. 4, 5, 6. So we don't even need this last one, which never got supplies. So we can take all that out. And we can go after 3 of them. You have to do the whole loop thing to output to the other side of the belt. Okay, so this will take in 240 red circuits, theoretically, and then output 120 green circuits, 120 plastic, 240 copper wire. So the green circuits and plastic are used as is. The copper wire needs to be fed into another splitter. So let's filter out copper wire. And then you need to go just like this setup again. So you just pop you in like that. And then that goes out. And you don't need that. Don't want you holding all that stuff. So that should be that, hopefully, for this phase of things. Now if we just attach these out, which we're going to need to also make sure that the copper wire stops going out this way, so we have to take out that last little chunk. So now you are, okay, theoretically 240 from a single machine, but that's obviously unrealistic. Like, we can't actually feed that many into a single machine, but we're going to be getting 30 copper per second out of all this. Is that right? So we have... No, so the way this is going to work is we're going to have 120 copper wire and 60 of each of the other two to get up to 240, which is our belt speed. And then I guess we can make 2 belts of output, actually. I don't know at all if this is going to be needed, but we can get up to much better output numbers here if we need to. So let's start by deconstructing all of that. So these 6 here are 2 belts worth. So then the entire output will go up that way somehow to be 1 belt. Then we get another one of you in, connect it up like that, and that is a full second belt of outputs, all coming from this singular belt of inputs. And it looks like the stack inserters are starting to take over on on those at some point. Alright, we're losing drones up in this area, which is quite close, so let's get that covered. And hopefully just those couple will be good enough. Alright, so we now have 2 full belts of output, which we need to then sort as we were doing previously, but correctly this time. So you each get a turbo splitter, which is going to be filtering copper wire and filtering copper wire. So then we take those belts forwards, and then we just clear them out a little bit so that the filter applies correctly now. And that should be what we need for this. So now we take the copper wire, which is going to be a half a belt each, so 120 each onto these 2. So the copper wire merges up over here into a full belt, and then we just need... Okay, so theoretically we could do it with one machine, but I don't know how we would ever get the outputs to work. But let's look at it anyways and just see what happens. So we've got this machine in here, and what have I done? Hit some weird button that reset me all the way back to Aquilo. So you need to have, like... Actually, I guess if we input onto here, because we've done this math before, and these are like 40, 80, 120, 160. Okay, so I think if we do that, so if we assume these are 40 each, 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240. So that might be enough. And then that will give us our 30 copper plates per second out, which I suspect might be the main limiting factor. Is there some better way of getting copper out of this scrap? I mean, the only other source of copper here is just copper wire anyways, so we could bring in copper wire directly, but that doesn't seem like it would really accomplish all that much anyways, so we're not going to. Instead, we are just going to get that powered up. So now we have 240 red circuits come in. Then we have 120 each of green circuits and plastic, and 240 copper wire. The copper wire has been dealt with. Now we need to get the green circuits and plastic to meet up. And that will be filtered, green circuits to one side, whichever I feel like, and then plastic to the other. And then we do a little bit of dismantling to get that to work out properly. And we've got that. Okay, so that should be all clear. We're missing speed modules here. So let's get... Where would the speed modules be? They would be on Vulcanus. So let's start getting those speed modules delivered. And then we can, I guess, just like take the copper plate output back that way, just so that all the outputs of the red circuits can meet up. And we could make this more compact if we need to, but I don't think space is going to be that much of an issue. Okay, so batteries, check. Green circuits, check. Holmium plates, check. We've got those down here that we can divert to where we need to get them. Then we need superconductors, which is our copper, plastic, holmium plates, and light oil. So we have copper, we have plastic, we have more than enough plastic actually. We're going to need to do something about that, because this is 30 copper plates and 120 plastic. So we're going to need recyclers to deal with the excess plastic. And then it'll be 30 of each basically. So 30 copper plates, 30 plastic bars, 30 holmium plates, and then a bunch of light oil as well. So let's, I guess we can get that attached in. Might as well. It's not going to hurt anything. I forgot that these aren't sorted in this area just yet. Alright, so that is mostly functional, and now we're getting past the first line now that the stack inserters are in. So now this gets to go in. And that seems to all be working properly. At least for now, with our limited resources. And we probably are going to want to find out how to get more copper plates. Let's see. So when we make the supercapacitors, we need 2 superconductors, which we can get from 1 copper plate. So our supercapacitor production is going to be limited to 30 per second, which is pretty bad unless we bring in more copper plates. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. Oh, we should also have excess green circuits that we can crack down into more copper cables, I guess. That's an option, technically. It's not a nice, friendly option. It would be kind of annoying. So, because now we're gonna have to figure out the ratios of everything, and it's gonna be super confusing. So red circuits give us 10 green circuits to 20 copper cable, which, let's just figure that out. 20 copper cable is, this would be 8:1 is the ratio. So 20 copper cable would be 2.5. So it's 4 green circuits per copper plate is what we have. And then the output that we need is, okay, we actually do need 4 green circuits. And, okay, wait, actually that works, right? We need 4 green circuits for every 1 copper plate we get. Maybe? Is that true? Math. So we have, let's just look at the actual numbers here. So we have 400 and so we have 240 red circuits going in, which means we have 120 green circuits and 240 copper wire. So 120 green circuits, 240 copper wire. 240 copper wire we know is 30 plates. So we have 120 green circuits and 30 plates. Now each copper plate makes 2 superconductors, so each copper plate makes 1. So yeah, actually this ratio is correct between the copper plates and the green circuits. So it is just that we have too much plastic, basically. But that's fine. It means that if we want this to be bigger, we're going to need to massively import more red circuits. Or how much of this can we do elsewhere. The problem is that, like, if we were to set this up on Vulcanus or something, we would have infinite resources, and we could very easily make most of this. Like, so the oil inputs here do make me want to do this here on Fulgora, right? And if we didn't do this on Fulgora, say we just import holmium plates. Well, we also need plastic for the superconductors. So what if we just import holmium plates, superconductors, and electrolytes and leave the green circuits? No, at that point, it definitely just only makes sense to do this on Fulgora, I think. Just the sheer number of things we need to import to another planet would be most of them, basically. So instead, we might want to import copper plates and iron plates to Fulgora to make the superconductors and electronic circuits in large quantities, maybe. Although we could get iron plates from gear wheels here on Fulgora, and that would be a good use of something. Alright. While we're thinking about that, let's get... Fast transport has its speed module, so now you can start heading back to Fulgora. So, if we were to import copper plates and iron plates to Fulgora and make an enormous amount of... So the limiting factor so far is definitely the copper plates and the green circuits, right? Because we can only... Because the plastic is fine. We have 120 plastic, but we only need 30. We have as many batteries as we realistically need, because that's just a scrap output. Holmium plates. We want the holmium plates to be the limiting factor, right? We want all the rest of this stuff to just be supporting holmium plate production. And then electrolytes are heavy oil, holmium solution, and stone. All of which we can get relatively easily. So, if we import more copper wire and gear wheels or something, those would be our best option, but we don't even have that much. The amount of copper wire produced out of the recyclers is actually pretty low. So we'd have plenty of gear wheels to make plates from. We have plenty of gear wheels to make plates from, and the ratio would actually even be pretty good. But it's the copper which is an issue. Yeah, who knows. Let's just get this version set up, and then we can worry about importing other things to make it go extra fast later. I think that makes the most sense. So, right now we have all of those in, so we just need to bring up the holmium plates and make light oil in order to make the superconductors. So, in order to make light oil, it is heavy oil plus water. So, we need a chemical plant. And let's see, where do we want this to go? We can just have these like in here probably. So you are heavy oil cracking, and you go something like that. Now we need... How much heavy oil do we need for this setup? Or how much light oil, rather. So, we need to make... It's just the superconductors, right? That need light oil. The electrolytes are heavy oil. Yes. So, where am I clicking through? So, we have 30 copper plates, and that's our limiting factor, which 30 times 5, so we need 150 light oil. So let's get those moduled, and can we actually, if we make those legendaries, then that should be even better. And hopefully we'll only need 2 of them beaconed. So we get this all set up, and the whole thing powered. So now we have fast transport is here, and you can drop off your speed modules, and we can also just have Fulgora automatically request legendary speed modules. So where are those? Legendary speed modules, request like 50 of them at a time probably. So those can show up, and we can figure out what our numbers are going to look like. Right now we are waiting on this chemical plant to get placed, and actually this recipe is only... Oh, it can also be done in a biochamber. We would get a productivity bonus, but the nutrient supply seems like a nightmare, so I'm not going to do that. So now the speed modules should be on their way. And we should see these numbers catapult up to be more than enough. And let's just assume that that's the case. Connect those across. Now, for the output, we have, or not output, for the input, we have 2 pipes. The water pipe and the heavy oil residue pipe. So, the water input, oh, we're going to need not that much at all. So we need 150. So we don't even need 2 of these. We can get by with just 1. With the speed module. So this is producing 450 almost, so we need like a third of this. So we need somewhere in the ballpark of 80 water. So let's get you set up to melt some ice, and then you get your modules. And can we actually just move that beacon down a little bit so that can affect both chemical plants at once? And then a random power pole. So now we just need those speed modules to go in and get all this running. I guess in the meantime we can slap down an offshore pump or 2. And then those can start connecting up. And this then just goes across all this, constantly reworking things to make it fit. Okay, so that is in, and then we need the power pole to go back. And we lost another drone somewhere along the way. Where did you go? Okay, that was just like a completely unrelated drone all the way up here, apparently. Cannot be bothered to fix that right now. So, this produces more than enough water and doesn't use all that much ice, though it doesn't use a small amount either. So we just need to get the ice up to here, which we bring this belt forwards and up and over and up again and then in. Okay, so ice, check, and you can just get a random stack inserter. So we put ice into here, and we get out hundreds upon hundreds of water. And then we combine that with our infinite source of heavy oil residue, and we get light oil. Okay, so with all that said and done, now we have to pop down the EM plants. And you are going to be making superconductors. So, you make superconductors, you get the copper plates and the plastic and holmium plates. So, you run along into there, you run along into there. And then we get belt inputs. And now we have to get this all set up. So you get productivity modules. And you get speed beacons. And that is not a legendary beacon, is it? Let's make it legendary for extra speed. So, we want this to be insanely quick. And even with that, this is still quite slow. The productivity modules, once they eventually show up, will help a little bit. Okay, so this is going to make a bunch of the superconductors. Oh, and when I've been doing these calculations, I've been failing to account for productivity modules. So we're actually going to have more than enough of these, and the green circuits are going to be the limiting factor because they don't get to go through an extra productivity module, but that's fine, probably. Alright, so anyways, we have this, and we just need to make a whole big row of them. And let's try to make sure we want to have the beacons every so often. So let's get that in. And speed modules and power plants. Okay, so now this just expands up. And now we should be able to copy paste this correctly. Okay, so that is going to need to get a lightning collector in so that that old one can get dismantled properly. And we also need the Spidertron to run up there and then get a drone port in the area. So that goes over there, gets powered up, and should be all we need for that. And once that drone port shows up, these should stop registering as not having the items they need. It's just because the Spidertron is there, but it doesn't have those items. Okay, can we get rid of all these random rarities of concretes? And just happen to notice those while I'm in here. We definitely do not need all those taking up space in the Spidertron, in case that ever becomes an issue. So now we just need that power pole to get all these guys sorted out. And we do have these things showing up. Okay, so how much is this currently? This is for... We can maybe fit in... We can fit in more beacons here. And of course that means we're going to have to move that lightning collector again. So you can just go up there somewhere and still work. And now all of these beacons get to get powered and hopefully provide enough speed so that these can do enough. So we just need to get like the full 30 copper plates out of these. And Our long-handled inserters should be able to deal with that. Apparently we might need more power poles, so let's get these guys in. And if we just place those along like that. So you are using 5 copper plates per second to make 30 almost of those, so you should be fine now. And that would be that. Now we just need to first of all get the output, which is going to be a little bit complicated, but should just fit in like this. I don't know why it stopped working at that last part. Okay, so that's our output belt. So it weaves along with all of the beacons and everything. And then we get the output machines, which we actually want to be stack inserters for belt efficiency, because there is going to be quite a lot of them. And then we need to get the light oil in. So this all goes out like that, connects up into a giant pipe, which pops down to there. And that should be all for the superconductor production. And where are you getting blown up? We're losing drones out in this area still. It's annoying, but not the end of the world. It's only like one that actually got destroyed. Okay, so that gives us our semiconductors or superconductors, whatever these are, superconductors. And that should be more than enough of those. Now, we still need to get the holmium plates in, right? That's an important step. So, that gets disconnected. I feel like there's something wrong with the trains, because I have not seen anything show up here in a while. So you go into there, and you're going to be popped in on the near side of the belt. Although, let's see here. So you do that. We need 1 holmium plate per copper plate. So we're going to need 30 holmium plates for that side of things, and then another chunk for this side of things. Should be like 60. So this isn't going to be that many holmium plates getting processed here. So it should all fit on one side of the belt. Okay, now let's see. Is this actually... Yeah, we have a traffic jam. So, you are here trying to get to holmium ore destination. And, oh no, you're waiting at stop. You're waiting here. But you can't because this is not taking that much. So this is train limit of 1. So why are you here? It's train limit of 1, and there's a train here. So I don't know what your problem is. Let's have you move along and see if that fixes it. And okay, and then there's also just this full-scale traffic jam that we need to worry about. So this battery train, if we just let you squeeze a little bit further up, then you won't be waiting past this signal, which is as far back as it can go. Okay, and then we have apparently this whole area is one giant signal. So let's get another couple in there. And of course this is not in drone range, so I need to run there to fix it. So now you are stuck because this is all one gigantic mega signal. So let's get a signal there, a signal there, a signal there, and a signal there. And really, that just straight up connected into absolutely everything, huh? That's not at all what we wanted. Alright, so Spidertron is here, delivered some of those signals. And then we need these signals over here to get placed in, which it looks like they are doing. Alright, so that should be a whole lot better now, right? So yeah, we do have trains starting to move about. We have trains starting to move about, and this all seems to be working fine. We've got a whole giant ton of battery output, which seems to have had some problem, but should be draining now, and we have something to actually do with the batteries pretty soon, so that shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so the holmium ore is back, and so that should creep its way around to make a bunch of holmium plates. And hopefully that will be good to go. So now all of those just run along, and they have to go along this super long belt, but eventually they'll make their way up here. So these guys already have most of their items, and as the holmium shows up, a couple of these are going to be running, so that should be all good. So that should be fine. And these recycle back into themselves, so we can't just access the holmium plates from there, because that would just be way too convenient. So we have some of these, and if we had a place to put the green circuits, then that would just keep running. So then we need to just make electrolytes. That's the final step. And if we're going to be having 120 electronic circuits out of this recycling, right? So we have 6 of these that make 10 each, and then we have another 6. So yeah, we have 120 green circuits, which means that we can make 30 batches of these per second, right? 30 supercapacitors per second, which means we're going to need proportionally, I mean, the productivity modules are going to mess with it all, but proportionally we're going to need 120, we're going to need 30 batches of these times 100 would be 300 electrolytes, should be the right proportion. So let's get those set up. So we have an EM plant making electrolytes. So you need stone, heavy oil, and holmium solution, which we do have holmium solution here. So we can just branch that out over to here and bring the stone forwards as well, and then the heavy oil is easily accessible. So the holmium solution pipe just needs to come up this way, and then, yeah, I guess just cross over here. and then cross over that belt, because why not? And then you need to sort of run all the way up this way. And now you're in approximately the right area. You're close enough for us to start doing planning for it. So now we take the stone forwards. And this is going to be very much creeping around the edges of this island. But it should be fine. So the stone is now available as well. And then finally we have the heavy oil, which we've got plenty of pumps just right over here. So now we need to worry about getting these set up. So their output is going to be sort of along this chain. So you have this sort of back and forth thing, although we're going to want beacons in, probably. So you're going to be something like this. And get all the modules everywhere they need to be. And then get power pole, which can get all these guys powered at once. Okay, so then we're going to eventually need a belt for the stone, a pipe for the heavy oil, and a pipe for the holmium solution, although now I've realized that having these be rotated like this is... Okay, no, we can fix it by rotating you like that. So now the holmium solution pipes still line up, and the heavy oil and the light oil are on the same side. So those go across to there. These ones just go out that way. And you then get your stone inserters. And I really want those speed beacons to show up so that we can figure out how fast this is all going to be. So, first of all, let's get these pipes set up. So you go over this way and up into there. So these with... Actually, I just realized in order to get like the correct number, we're going to need to have a couple of these. Now, how do we get these to line up properly? So it needs to be like you, but like up there somewhere. Okay, actually... Okay, but then the beacon needs to be over there for this one. And they just need to sort of alternate like that. And you get your modules. Okay, so now let's get the stone in. That belt goes along that way. So we have stone in, we have holmium solution in. Now we just need to get the heavy oil across all of this stuff. So that will go up this way, and then across to there, and then up this way, and then across to... Hang on, we actually need to get it like one higher in order for this to work. So let's just mess with these belts a little bit then. So you need to go up like that, while you go up like that. So now this pipe can go out that way and into that. And that will be electrolytes set up. So now we just need to get these power poles going. Something like that. And how many electrolytes do we need? Is it 50 some? How do you have 70 some? Oh, because the beacon is there reducing efficiency but not actually doing anything. I always forget that that's a thing. So this is 100. That's like 70-ish. That's going to be 100-ish. How many did we say we need? I think I said we needed like 300, so I guess we need like one more. So we just get you in like that. We rotate you to be facing the right way. And this ought to do it. So this ought to do it, right? So now we have you go across to there, you go across to there, and our bulk inserter goes there, and that should give us what we need. All right. So we have all of this. Now all we need to do is bring the batteries forwards and then combine all these pieces up. So we've got the batteries all the way back here somewhere, or not. Does this... Alright, so the other battery destination wasn't limited to one, so we need to fix that. So you can go forwards, and that'll get the batteries fixed up. Then we have this belt here, which comes down like one, and you connect into that as we need you to. And now this belt runs along this way, and it just snakes up all the way up here. Let's get you through the center there so that we can not have to use foundations unnecessarily. Now this belt comes all the way over here, and it can just continue to go through across all that way, and now it's in the right general direction. Okay, so all that work done. Now we need to first of all get the EM plants in, and I think we can build this in here probably. Supercapacitors. So you need 4 solid inputs and a liquid input. Right, these guys are like super annoying. And a train got lost. How did you get lost? It's the battery guy got lost. So I assume he got lost on his way down to here. Ah, yeah, look at that. That's not connected. Okay, so we just need you to, like, if we cut that back all the way to, like, as far back as it can go. Now, is it possible for you to connect into this in any remotely sensible way? No, so you're just going to connect up in an unhinged way. And that will just have to be fine. So that'll get built up, and the train will be able to find its way over here with the batteries. Okay, so we need 4 solid inputs and a solid output, which means at least some things are going to have to double up. And the best candidates for that would be the batteries can go on one half of a belt, and the holmium plates, or I guess the superconductors, can go on the other half of that same belt. So let's get... That is going to be the battery plus superconductor belt. And can we have this facing up so that we can scale it that way if need be? We shouldn't need to scale it. It should be fine. Should be able to build this all in one piece. So we get you. The holmium solution can just come in from the side without issues. We don't need to worry about... The electrolytes can just come in from the sides. We don't need to worry about piping them like up and down and all that stuff. So then we have 2 belts of input, which are going to be going down this way for convenience sake, probably. And then that all gets powered up, and that'll let us eventually see the actual speed of everything once that power pole and speed modules get in. Okay, Spidertron's gonna get back into the vicinity. And we're low on speed modules again. So you can go back to Vulcanus to pick up more. And we have this guy, right? Yeah, you pick up 50 of these guys from Vulcanus. So you should actually be able to just automatically provide the speed modules to Fulgorand now, and we shouldn't need to worry about constantly delivering them like this. You know, in the meantime, let's just like yoink one of you and build them in over here so we can get a general idea of the speeds that we're looking at here. So this is 5, and okay, this is not going to be especially helpful. We're actually going to need quite a few of these, I think, because this is not very fast even with that, and it'll obviously be better with the speed beacons on both sides, but not enormously better. So we're going to have to get this all set up. So we have that, we have our 2 other inputs, and then we have our output. So each of these can take input from there, and like that. And then they have long-handled inputs as well. And then this side needs to have the fluid output, because that's the only way that it reaches. Alright, so this was the output side. So those go out that way. And the long-handled inserters can handle like 5-ish per second. And none of the solid inputs for any of these. I guess the green circuits might be an issue, so we need to make sure like green circuits are here. But other than that, it should be fine. So now let's just get power lines connected up. And we can just copy paste this a bunch of times. And we do that. And we just have to do up until we have enough of these to use up all the green circuits and everything, which could be quite a lot, actually. I don't know if we have enough space here to do that. So, where's our fast transport? It's almost there. And Fulgorda Vulcanus is somehow off at Aquilo refueling. Oh, I just realized something about this. So that'll pick up fusion if it's... No, it should be fine. It should be fine. Let's just Set that to 100 for next time so that you don't have to fuel up very frequently. Now, we need to get all the inputs into this, which involves these annoying green circuits. And then if the speed of this row isn't fast enough, they would have to do something about that. But I don't know how exactly to solve that problem without using a huge amount of foundations going up into this ocean. So maybe we just build this in a different area where we have more space, but I want this to be not completely spread out. Like, I do like it being compact like this. But it's not clear if that's going to be practical. So let's get our speed modules back. And it says there are 50 on the way, so that should be clear pretty soon. And they haven't showed up yet. Alright, Vulcanus, what are you doing? Somewhere we've got one of these guys loading up with speed modules. Oh, they are very busy with their stone. So hopefully those show up eventually. They do. So now you can come back to Fulgora and get those delivered. And then future manual deliveries shouldn't be necessary. We should have Fulgora to Vulcanus bringing those over automatically. Alright, so while those show up, let's get these belts going for now. So you are going to be half a belt, and then the holmium plates are going to be another half a belt, which they are going to need to be filtered for that to work properly, because we need to get the copper off of that. So we have that, and there might be like one copper that gets through, but it should be fine. So that's two of the items in. Now we just need the green circuits and the superconductors, which will each get their own belt. So the green circuits, we need them to have some space in here so that if you just go like that and then run up this way, over and then down like so, then we have the superconductors come there, over and down. Then that should theoretically be all. And let's just connect those batteries up. And this should all get built. And eventually it'll start working. Okay, so this whole area is technically not in the logistics network. So let's have the Spidertron step like an inch to the right, so that it can be counted as being in the logistics network and get some resupplies eventually. Alright, so now that is going out a little bit. With some of the green circuits through, this is kind of starting to turn on. And the theory is that the green circuits should be the limiting factor, and we're going to have to recycle excess plastic. So we'll see how that turns out once this is all online. And fast transport is most of the way back with the speed modules that we need. So hopefully that will be good. Now these are 5 each, so probably more like 7 or 8 each with the full speed boosts. So yeah, this row is actually going to be nowhere near enough. So we're going to need a massive increase in these EM plants in order to do the full thing, which is quite good because we do need a lot of these. Alright, so batteries are in. Superconductors are in. The only thing we're missing is... oh, right. This pipe just needs to go, and please say it can make it all the way across. It can make it close enough, at least. So we just send that underground temporarily, then that pipe just loops around like that, and the electrolytes should get that in, and then our supply of those will just go out. And for now, let's just have a nice convenient row of boxes for it. And then we can also have an output belt for the future. So that goes in. That pipe should be built pretty fast. Our speed modules are showing up. So this should start to run at least. And then we're going to want to start doing the whole legendary cycling thing beyond that, which is going to be a massive nuisance. Alright, so the pipes are mostly in. We did lose another drone, so that might take the last couple pipes a long time to get fixed up. But I guess we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so yeah, electrolytes are producing. And now we've got these guys going out. So we just need to connect our power poles up so that we can actually get the output going. And these are now running. And everything is now stuck waiting on plastic like I expected. So let's get a nice, just quick little row of recyclers back here, which can take the plastic and get rid of it. So then those can go out and then into another row of recyclers, which will be right over there. And then you go down into that, while the output belt for them can loop right back in. Actually, that splitter can be like here for more convenience. Input priority left. And now we get all of this stuff powered up with just a couple of power poles. And that should all be very buildable. And we're just waiting on, apparently it's needed some foundation in there. And now we're just waiting on the power poles to get rid of these excess plastics. And that shouldn't be too long. Power poles should be close. Spidertron's not helping, but they are starting to show up. Okay, so now we just need this power pole, and we will start to have our plastic destroyer. We just need that one power pole to go in, and this should all start up, so of course it takes forever. But there we go. So that is that. Now let's get legendary... I should have probably just done this from the start. Just have nice, fast machines to get rid of the plastic. And those can even be speed moduled. These ones shouldn't need to be speed moduled. And I don't even know if these will. But we need to get rid of like 90 plastic at least, if not more. So we will see how this works out. And if the green circuits are the limiting factor, we might also need to get rid of copper plates. Hopefully that's not the case, but it could be. Okay, so this is running, and the excess plastic is getting dealt with. And they're currently not having much problem doing that. So our Spidertron is continuing to pick up some stuff. So now these are extra fast. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So yeah, these are definitely enough. And these are probably also enough. So the plastic is no longer the issue. So now the issue is probably just these guys. So this is 7 each, 7, 14, 21. Alright, so you are not getting enough superconductors because these guys aren't getting enough plastic because this whole thing is jammed. Okay, so so basically we need to get rid of more of the green circuits, which requires us to have superconductors. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22 situation. And then we also will probably need to take the excess copper out, and because this is so unreasonably fast, if you just pop you into there, then these super fast guys can deal with both copper and plastic excess. And that should be fine. So now we just need someone to deal with the green circuit excess, which shouldn't exist, theoretically. But it does. Alright, let's get this set up to be a much larger scale construction project for the superconductor things. So these are making enough superconductors. We need more. I keep forgetting what these things are called. Supercapacitors. So we need... Let's start by just like copy pasting this setup because it works perfectly well. It's just not fast enough. So we copy paste you and we just pop you like over here somewhere, let's say. Now, this, we need to be able to absorb 120 green circuits per second. So this is how fast? 7 each. So 120 divided by 7. Well, if it were 120 divided by 6, it would be 20, right? So 120 divided by 7 is going to be less than 20. So if we have just 4 rows of 5, or if we have 4 rows of 5, then that should be more than enough. And now we just need to get all of these guys set up. So we have 4 inputs. Each is going to need... Actually, we have 3 input belts, technically, each of which needs to be split into 4. So we have... Doesn't really matter which way these go, so you can go up this way. So this is one of the input sides. So you get split into 4 like this. And we're going to have basically 3 of these. And get rid of that gigantic ruin. Alright, so those are all gone. We're going to need lightning collectors up here as well. Alright, so you So you split 4 ways. You go into here. Like that. And then this next one needs to go over and into here. And then this next one needs to go over and into there. And then this last one needs to go over and into there. We need to make all these belts point the right way. So that's one batch of 4. Get the Spidertron over here to both start construction and get rid of those annoying ruins which are blocking all visibility. Okay, so now let's run the Spidertron up here to get lightning collectors built. And then we apparently need another lightning collector just for that little area. And now let's bring actual drone ports over. So that will be most of the way. And how much will you cover? You'll cover most of it, but not all. So we're going to need to get another drone port in after that. Alright, so with that set up, these guys here need to get moved back a bunch. So we need you to have like one belt going into here and then a splitter. So then the next one needs to be going into here and then into there and then into there. So now all of these belts need to get turned around to face the proper direction for this new setup. So now we have those 4. We have that one. We have that one goes that way. So I guess you can have a splitter like there. But we actually need space for the other 2. So if you're like that, and you go forwards like that, then the next one is here. It can go forwards like that, and like that. Let's get rid of more of these ruins, and probably just rebuild a correct power pole there. So now this belt connects over up to there. Okay, now we finish off the drone port process. And we just bring a power pole all the way down to get that drone port charged up. And that ought to be the entire area over here, I think. So now we have that. That's a second input cleared up. Now we just need another one, which needs to go like under all of that stuff and then up this way. And all of these belts need to be set up to face this way. So let's get that done. And then we need to mark out like 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're like back there, then that one goes up to there. It's so hard to see where we're building with all these belts around. It's tough to see like which one is the new one that I just built and which one is super old. Alright, so that lightning collector will get built in soon. And the drone port will also get connected up soon. So we don't need to do anything about either of those. So this goes over to there. Then we have another trunk there, so you go out to there, and then you go all the way out to there. And there we are. So now we just get that splitter in there. And that should be everything except for the electrolytes, which are obviously pretty simple to get set up. So you just need like a pipe running along the front of them, like out here or so. So you go across there, across that belt, across that belt, across that belt. Now all of these guys connect up. And then we just have to connect these into the individual pipes. Like that. So now all the electrolytes are connected to each other. So now the only step is connecting these guys across to the ultimate source of everything. So you go down there, and then this connects over to that. So that's electrolytes done. Then we need to probably just take this version out entirely. So we can take all those guys down, and we can take all their corresponding belts down. And let's actually just fully dismantle that whole area. So there we go. Massive swarm of drones, and it's basically all gone. We just missed the electrolyte pipe. And then that heavy oil pipe is supposed to stay there, because that's for this. Okay, so now we can connect you across like that. And somehow this is being weird, but whatever. So we need to get these three belts over into these three splitter sections. So you go over to there. You go over to there. And then you go over to there. And now that all gets built. And we are missing 8 pipes somehow? How on earth are we out of pipes? Okay, so first of all, these power lines aren't connected, so it's probably that, if I had to guess. So let's make sure those power lines get connected across, and surely the Spidertron will be able to instantly do this. Okay, power lines connected. And then we need to get down to that RoboPort for the full connection. And alright, it says they're missing materials for construction, but it also has them highlighted like there are drones designated to them. So that should be fine. And we just need those last couple pipes to show up, and then this will be good to go. And then once that's good to go, we need to connect up all of these guys into the final setup. Oh, this top row here somehow didn't get its inputs set up right. So let's give you all those, and then give you all these, and then get a power pole up here, apparently. And then another power pole up here. And that should be fully set up. That should be fully set up. And then we just need to get all these guys connected in. So I guess something like this on each of these rows. And so now we have that output, which we can temporarily just yoink into a set of boxes. And we just get a drone port up there. Just so that we have that area covered better. And that should be running. If we can find some way of getting rid of all these excess green circuits. Because theoretically there shouldn't be excess green circuits, but there obviously are. Now that all of this is up and running, that might change. So if we can get the green circuit output fully functional, then that would be quite neat. And I wish these last couple belts were in. So now you are outputting. And we just probably want to duplicate that a little bit so that we have plenty of outputs. And then we can do this sort of thing so that when we eventually set up our cycling setup to make these legendary, we will have a solid double-sided belt for it, which will take some time of this to warm up if it's necessary, but I don't even know if it is necessary, so it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so we're still sitting with a whole bunch of green circuits that we can't do anything with. So let's get those. I mean, theoretically, if we just give you output priority left and then take the remainder up this way and merge it into that row of recyclers, that should just do it. Because theoretically we shouldn't need that many. So you are all... Okay, wait, you're low on plastic. Did I not give, like, hardly any of these guys? I gave almost none of these guys inserters on the plastic belt. So that must have been a large portion of the problem. So let's get those set up. And then see what happens. Alright, so bulk inserters are in. These guys now have access to plastic. And now we just need them to start running. And this might not even be fully necessary. Like having this whole process for completely destroying excess green circuits. So let's actually chop that off and just see what happens. So now you're short on copper, which is still being limited by this. And it's actually also being limited by these guys just not picking them up properly. Like, I could have sworn I saw copper get past you. Yeah, copper is getting past you despite the fact that we're short on copper. So that is kind of annoying. So I guess if we just give each of you double long-handled inserters, then it should hopefully work out again. So we just need to pick up all the copper off the belt before it gets through. And this looks like it is happening. So that is going. We've got a whole bunch of these guys coming out. And these guys are now running at full speed, hopefully. And for some reason these are stockpiling bad on some of these. Oh, I see. So this belt here, you need to go all the way up to there. You need to go all the way up to there, and then that should address that problem. And then we should have everything running fully. And in the meantime, these guys are filling up with supercapacitors at a pretty alarming rate. And all this stuff is showing up as well. And there we go. So now those batteries and homium plates can run through. And it looks like this whole system is just about running. Except for this guy up here who needs to have access to its green circuit supply. And then we don't seem to have output issues at the moment, but we might need to. So this is more than 120 green circuits in. It's gonna be like... Okay, let's just pretend that this was running at full capacity despite the fact that it probably can't be. We have 4 by 5, that's 20 machines. 5 supercapacitors times 20 machines is 100. So, we are going to need to make sure that these use all sides of the belt properly, because yeah, now these guys up here are output full. So step one is we just do this. So with that setup, we will have these two outputting to the other side of the belt from these two, so that should help. Can the Spectrotron build that, please? Yeah, there we go. So that is part of it. So now that gets us up to 60 items per second. So each of these individual rows is 5, 10, 15. Each of these individual rows is less than 25, so can fit on half of a belt. So we need... But when we combine them all up to be 100, that's going to be more than this turbo transport belt can handle, unless it's stacked with... unless the belts are stacked, which means we need to stack the belts. We need to stack the belts before merging them all up, basically. So, let's just take this. If we just copy-paste you, and how do we want this to be aligned? Probably aligned like this would be fine. So, let's start by dismantling all of that row. And apparently we took out the lightning collector when we did that, so we gotta get that back in. Hopefully you will get bored of picking up tens of thousands of supercapacitors. And you don't need to carry any supercapacitors. Alright, so the lightning collector did get built. So that's good. Alright, so now all we need to do is we copy this, I think we already did, and you need to get pasted for each of those. So each of those gets one of these, and then this one we want to move it over a little bit so that it lines up the same as all the rest of them. Alright, so now those can connect up, and we will have stacked up supplies of supercapacitors. And I don't know how this is going to work on the belt sides, but it should be fine actually. Yeah, we don't need these splitters because the total is 120, which is less than 1/2 of a belt. So if we just have all of these output up, then they'll all fit and we won't have any problems. Now we just have to wait for all of these supercapacitors to get emptied out, and we're going to have to fill those in again in the future just so that they aren't wasted, but shouldn't be that many anyways. Okay, so now we have all this, and we are continuing to lose drones just up here. That's relatively close, so let's go and fix it. So we get some lightning collectors just sort of along this route. And it says they've been assigned, but the Spidertron is a bit busy with all of that stuff in its inventory, so I guess I'll have to take you back to deal with that later. We have so many supercapacitors, but it should be fine. So this should be mostly functional now. And now we just need to set up the cycling system, which is going to be a bit of a menace here because of all the different outputs that it's going to produce. This is going to be so much more complicated than the blue circuits that we had to deal with. Although, hopefully it'll be easier because we won't have like 10 billion of one particular item. So, we have all these. We will just merge them all up. And you can merge up like that. And then these two can merge up like that and like that. And then the final row of merging can just be jamming you in like that so that we use both sides of the belt. Alright, now we run that along a lane of recyclers. And they all get inputs and quality modules. So you get your quality modules. And let's just bring power pole over here and lightning rod over here. Or lightning collector. I think lightning rod is actually a thing. Yeah, lightning rod is a different item, which is the same thing but worse basically. Alright, so now all this stuff can get built, and we want to wait for the quality modules to show up before putting any of the power poles in. But we can get all these belts and stuff set up preemptively. Is this not connected properly? I think that... yeah, it's actually just barely too far, so it has to be down there to connect up properly. Which we can do easily enough. And now we just have like a random cliff that needs to blow up. And then the last couple belts. And we should also, at some point, get up there to fix all of these. So power poles can go in, or lightning collectors go in, and that area is now no longer dangerous. Right, so now Spidertron can run back, and quality modules are starting to show up, but we haven't got all of them yet, so we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. Fast transport, you can go up to Aquilo to restock, because you need your fusion power cells, and you just need to make sure that you aren't like completely ruining things by sitting in one place for too long without fusion power cells. Alright, so the last couple quality modules, or like the second half of them, are taking a very long time to show up for some reason. And they're all just charging over there, so that's probably why. Let's make you can be legendary, you can be legendary. These ones down here don't need to be legendary, but are. So that should help with that upgrade eventually, and you need a power pole there. So we can get that in. And most of these have all their stuff set up. We just need this to get charged, and then we can go. Like, we've got a whole cloud of quality modules right there, just waiting on a charge. And we've got a huge number of these guys trying to do something with the supercapacitors, which we're going to need to deal with at some point. We have half of our logistics bots just actively running right now, and if we could get some of this stuff to charge faster, that would be fantastic. Alright, some of the quality modules have made it to the charging stations, and apparently our qualities guys, I could have sworn I'd fixed that area. Guess some of them are trying to go off to the side like this. So let's get that area all cleared up as well. Okay, so these guys are all connected up to the main grid, so I don't know why you ran out of the fancy drone ports. I guess we must have just actually ran out of them. Okay, so all the quality modules are in. So now the Spidertron can stand here and start putting in those. So these are 1.6 per second each. We're going to need so freaking many of these, because we have, I think we'd established it was somewhere in the ballpark of 100. And if this is 1.6, that means we need like 66-ish of them. And that's just for the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can do like 6 rows of 11 or something. I guess that makes sense. So we need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so let's actually make it 12, just to round up, right? You always want to round up when you do these things. So we have those, and they are probably going to need to be the setup that we have here, actually. So let's get this copy pasted and bring that up here. So now you just go in like that and in like that. Alright, so that will now allow us to handle our output in large chunks. So now we just need to get this whole thing organized up. So in the short term, let's actually just disconnect that. So that's disconnected, and green circuits are the limiting factor, which is what I expected. And it's not because we're backlogged on anything, it's just that that's what it is. Okay, so we have this, and we just need to copy-paste this 6 times, basically. Just need to have 6 copies of these. So let's actually cut that, rotate it to be facing up this way, just for better spacing, and give it some space from the belts, and we can put 2 of these guys back to back, and then these can just all output onto a couple belts, I guess. So that is 4 of the rows. Now we have 5 and 6. Alright, so that's all in. And we're going to need a whole bunch more decider combinators, apparently. Although, yeah, no, we're going to need more decider combinators. And those should be either requested from elsewhere or made on site over here. Yes, we have this guy producing a whole bunch of decider combinators, so that isn't actually an issue. So then we just need all this stuff to get built, and then we take output belt 1, output belt 2, output belt 3, and output belt 4. So the center 2 belts will have both sides used, and the middle belt won't. And we're going to need so many freaking quality modules for this. So, does Fulgora support deliver quality modules? It does. It delivers them 50 at a time, which is going to take a couple trips. Fortunately, fast transport has plenty, and it's also been refueled, so you can head back to Fulgora to get all this stuff set up. Now, we just need to feed in to those 3. And how do you... Here's the question. How do we split this evenly into 3? I guess we just split it into 4 and then ignore one of them. So you go in like that, and we go 1, 2, and 3, and this one to the right will be getting twice as much as the others, which I don't like. Yeah, I want to figure out how do you actually split this into 3. So we have to split the center one into 2. Okay, so how about we split it into 4 like this. No, not like that. We split it into 4 like this. Right? So now we have 4. And then we have to take one of these and split it evenly amongst the other 3 somehow. Or... okay, I actually just don't care. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. They'll be slightly unbalanced, and that's okay. Let's see. Yeah, is there any reasonable way of doing this? There's got to be like some easy trick to it, but I can't think of it, so we're just not going to worry about it, and it'll work out just about fine. Okay, so all of that stuff is happening. The poor Spidertron has its inventory completely crowded with random junk. And it just needs to get all that stuff out at some point. Okay, so this is just step 1 of this entire system. So the outputs are going to be like a billion different items, and we're gonna have to provide more electrolytes, actually, which is annoying because we're gonna have to use those every time we recraft. Okay, so let's for now just get power lines connected back down. And did I not leave enough space? How do I get these guys powered? Boy. Oh boy, that's gonna be a problem. Okay, let's disconnect you for now. Just so that we can have less weird stuff happening. Yeah, the fact that we have to use electrolytes, I might just not want to do it this way at all. We have to use electrolytes, which require holmium solution every time we want to recraft these things, which that does not seem like a good idea to me. That's just so much, right? Because this is the electrolyte production. So we're using 100-ish, probably, holmium solution doing that. And that is equivalent to like 1 holmium ore per second. It's not that bad, actually. It's not that bad at all. I mean, it's not great. I'd rather not waste a bunch of holmium ore per second, but it's probably with the productivity modules still better. It's close, though. It's really close. Alright, so let's drop some more of these guys down. And that will get those last couple missing items cleared out. And then we have to figure out what we're doing about these power poles, because I did not consider that at all. So we need to get all of these guys charged up somehow. So the ones on the outside, we obviously just run power poles across like here. But these 2 rows, if we make legendary power poles, maybe. So basic power poles are like, if they were centralized, they would be far enough, but they're not centralized. So their supply area is 7 by 7. So that's like 3 to the left, 3 to the right, 1 in the center. Now if we go over here to find, because on Novice we have produced legendary power poles. They are right here, I think. So these are 17 by 17. So that's 8 per... Okay, yeah. So we can use legendary power poles for all of this and have it work. Oh yeah, it's super gonna work. Okay. So this just like covers all of these rows. So we just do that. Also, that Fulgoran lightning attractor is just clearly don't want that there. So then we have to finish that row off. And we're going to need to bring fast transport back to Novice to pick up a supply of legendary power poles. Which, not every day that you need those. So, we also somehow missed these guys getting their bulk inserters. Just these last 4. And that should be fine with the legendary power poles. So now let's just paste those settings across to get those in nice and quick. And then our legendary power poles, if we have those 3 like we've done, that covers all of that. So then we can get those 3 and those 3, and that should have the entire system powered up with just 9 power poles. And we can even take out some of these extra ones, which are just way smaller than the legendary ones, and thus not needed. Okay, so those all go out, and then the legendary power poles will show up. Then we've got this. So we have this massive supply, which I think we said this was somewhere in the vicinity of 100-ish. 100-ish of these guys. Like, we've got these, most of them are running round the clock, so it's, yeah, let's do our production for assuming 100, and then that should be fine. So these will then split down to how many total item outputs is this going to be? So if it's 100, it'll be 50 holmium plates, 50 superconductors, 100 green circuits, 50 batteries. So that's 250 total. So we have 250 total outputs from this, which is like incredibly annoying because that's just barely more than 240, which we can fit on a belt. Now, what if we just let's just be realistic here, because this is not going at the full speed of 100. In fact, it isn't even technically designed to do that. So if we just assume we're missing 10, if we're just assuming that this is going to be just a little bit short, it'll be like 85 or 90 or something, which seems like a reasonable assumption, then a single belt would be able to carry everything. And that would make things so much easier to worry about. So, let's do that. Now, we merge all these guys up onto a single belt. And we do that by just getting rid of some giant ruins. Just get all those guys out of there preemptively. And now we just run these belts in. So, let's see. This belt and this belt are bigger and have things on both sides compared to these outer 2 belts. I think if we just straight up merge them all, I think the alignment of the outputs should just work itself out. So I don't think we need to worry about that. We can just bring the belts in however we want. That went too far. So you go up like that. And then you go over like that. This is kind of a dumb way of doing this. Okay. Let's have these ones connect up first. And then connect up with this, which goes into there, and we have that input over here, which goes in, and then we have our full belt output. And in the meantime, Fast Transport Belt has picked up its legendary power poles, and now it can come over to Fulgora and drop those off. Alright, so now we have our belt of 240 assorted items. Give or take. It's not exactly rocket science. So then we need to start doing splits. So we need to have different setups for each of the rarities here. Now, because of the numbers here, if we just have a second one of these setups for all the rest of them, then that should be manageable. Because the outputs for all the rest of the recycling is going to be nowhere near this. So, let's get that in. And if we just copy paste everything back to like there, and then how do we want this to go in? If we, all of our machines are going to be up top, so their outputs are going to be coming down this way. I think it should be fine to just have it like this, and then some of the belts are going to have to wrap around the bottom, but they should make their way. And then we need you to go all the way over there, and then we need the power poles to connect across, and then we need all this stuff to get built up, including our legendary recyclers, which are apparently missing. So we're going to drop those down. Now, what is wrong with legendary recyclers? It could just be that we've been using a bunch of them and they're not producing fast enough. So that is getting refined concrete delivered. So we just used up our entire backlog of legendary recyclers. They'll show back up eventually, and presumably same story with the stack inserters. We just need to wait a little bit and they'll reappear. And we also need another power pole up there so that this whole thing doesn't get zapped. And okay, it looks like the legendary power poles did get sent down, so now we just need to wait for them to actually show up. Which, how is our drone supply doing? We have more than enough drones for everything, so they should just be here in a bit after a bit of charging. And yeah, we have these guys mostly functional, still waiting on a couple. And we're waiting on like kind of a weirdly large number of those, and that lightning collector took forever to get placed, so let's just build a new one with the Spidertron instead, so that our very expensive machines don't all get zapped. So now we just need to wait for 25 recyclers to get constructed, and also a whole bunch of quality modules, which this doesn't have those, but you can just drop down the recyclers that you had from Fulgora. So just drop those down so that they can get used up, and then that should be all fine. Okay, so now we have that. We're kind of running out of space up here, which is a problem. I really don't want to have to use 10 billion foundation to build just off into the ocean, but we might wind up needing to do that. Okay, so we have all this, and the power poles are going in, and that just barely doesn't connect across, which is why that's complaining. And then none of this is connected across properly, so we just get another one out there. Alright, now we don't have 20 billion blinking lights everywhere, so that's that's good. So, we need to... We can't realistically just filter the resources back into this, but we actually know that because we have 4 rows of this, and this outputs a quarter, that if we grab 1 row of this, it should be enough. So we have 1 row of these for the commons, and that should be enough to solve that problem. Did fast transport get these guys delivered back up again? Apparently it did. So let's send them back down. Just get all these recyclers in, and then Fulgora support should be bringing in quality modules as well. Yeah, it's got a bunch of steps to do before it returns, but it should show up eventually. Alright, and so now these have been designated again. So that should be all fine. And it's weird that there's still 3 registered as missing material for construction. We're not launching back up again, are we? We are, okay. Can you just remove that temporarily? And we're going to have to remember to put that back in, because we are going to need it. But we just need all of the existing ones to get set out. Alright, so that should be all the recyclers we need there, so now we can just pop that back in now. Very good. And so now we've got all this. So we get our row here. We just yoink that one and build it in. And if we just... I want to be compact. If we just build you in here and rotate you horizontally like so, then your outputs just go down. Actually, no, that's not useful anyways, so we might as well build it out here where we have space, because we need to wrap all the way around to this input down here. So we have that. And this didn't build properly, so I have to hold down the buttons for it again. So that is in. And now we need to do the sorting of these. So step 1 is going to be sort out rarity, I think. So you're going to be filter normal to the right. So that goes over to there. And then this will be all the uncommon stuff. And now we need to filter out all 4 items. So, how... Okay, wait, no, this doesn't work like that, because each spot can only filter one thing. So we actually need something like this. So it'll be output priority left, filter superconductors. And then let's just get those pasted across so that the filter side is correct. Then we need green circuits, and we need batteries, and we need holmium plates. So now we have all that. We just need to get these to attach up. And is this the order I want to do this in? No, I want to just flip around. So this had superconductors on the far right, which would be the bottom in this version. So it would be superconductors, then green circuits, then batteries, then holmium plates. And also, this has all gotten jammed. Why are you all stuck? Oh, because we were out of red circuit input. And apparently we need a pole down there. So why are we out of red circuit input? We just don't have enough red circuits. Alright, that's unfortunate. And that's not because this is jammed. It's just because we don't have much red circuit production. Yikes. Might have to do something about that, because we do need a constant stream of a massive amount of red circuits in order to keep up. Okay, but that'll be a problem for later, securing enough resource input to actually get it done. For now, we have you are superconductors, you are green circuits, you are batteries, and you are holmium plates. Right, so then these two go up this way, and then they form onto a belt which goes over here, and that power pole needs to get connected up to everything. So we just do something like that, and that should get the drone port attached up. And the Spidertron can do some work while it's at it. And let's just make sure that that gets built properly. And now you are charging, and we're still saying we're missing pipes. How is that possible? We have 200 pipes. Alright, no, it figured it out eventually, I guess. It's just a complicated path or something to get here. Okay, so those two are set out. Then this goes up to there, and you go up to there. And I really, really hope we don't have the old infinity green circuit backlog problem again, because that would be quite annoying. Okay, so then we just need to get the electrolyte pipe up to here, which means just like sort of bringing it along this way, and then up to there, and then in, not like that. And have that be a nice right angle, because why not? Okay, where do we keep losing drones? Just out there somewhere. That's fine, I don't care enough. Okay, so these are all in, and I don't understand why this is still jammed. Like, we've got... Do we have something in here that isn't an option? No, I don't understand why you don't want to output all these items forwards. Because there should be 4 items on this, and we've accounted for all 4 of them. So I don't know, maybe it's just a weird bug? No, it's apparently not just a weird bug. What is going on with all this? Oh, is it... Yeah, okay, so we just need to push that forwards a little bit, and likewise with this. So now that's actually just got uncommons on it, so that's why that was having issues. Okay, so this is up and running again, and we are producing all of those. So that output needs to loop back into this recycling setup, which will be the one which we use for everything other than the first phase, which is the big one, obviously. So this belt comes down here. I don't like having these unrelated things cross paths, but here we are. So that loops around into there and will be the next phase of recycling. Now we need to take this, and you actually need to wrap around this way as well. And I don't know where exactly this is going to happen, but you need to have your own. You're gonna have your own normal quality filter, which will send things over this way and then just into there. And that shouldn't exceed belt speed limitations, in theory. And we are having the infinity green circuit backlog problem. Oh boy, that's my favorite problem. So that's gonna have to... We're gonna have to redesign this system then to have the buffers to deal with that, which is gonna be super annoying. Now, all of this doesn't have enough green circuits still, but it should be up and running again in a minute. I'd really rather the holmium plate speed a limiting factor, because then we know we're getting the maximum legendary holmium that we can, as opposed to doing it this way, where it's just sort of bleh. Alright. But yeah, I think... Alright, so if we need to redesign this to have buffers, what do we need buffers for? Probably just the green circuits. It's going to be super annoying if we need buffers for everything, and it's going to take a lot of time. So for now, at least, we've got this set up, and you are sending your filter back properly. And this is seemingly mostly just stuck because of the green circuit overflow and, to a lesser extent, the existence of uncommon items. So we're going to need to get that fixed up, but we need to get this green circuit overflow issue sorted first, before we just spam in the uncommons and rares and epics, because otherwise it's just not gonna work properly. So I think we are going to wrap up the stream here. We have made significant progress on getting our legendary supercapacitor factory set up, and it's like kind of working, so there's that. So next stream, when we come back here to Factorio on Friday, we are going to be hopefully finishing this off. If not, then continuing to make substantial progress on it. And that should be pretty exciting. So what we need to do is redesign this to have buffers so we can deal with an overwhelming supply of green circuits. And then just once we have that, just copy that a couple times for the other rows, and we should be in the clear. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. I will be streaming this again on Friday. Otherwise, I'll be doing a Dyson Sphere program tomorrow. So that's another factory building game with some similarities and a lot of differences. So if you're interested in any of that, I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So make sure to follow if you haven't already, so you know when I'm live and what I'm playing. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks.